Welcome to an exciting episode of Pete for Society. I'm so happy to welcome back my guest today, the one, the only Dr. Kristen Williams. If I could give my introductions, I'd be great. Dr. Kristen, it's so great to see you again. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. I've been looking forward to coming back on your show. It's just
I
been,
know.
a little over a year since I saw you last time.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Or
has.
maybe a
Yeah.
little
And
less.
then you visit Melissa on Emotionally Unavailable and everything else like that. So you've been doing a lot since then. So what have you been up to since the last time we saw you?
I have been working as hard as I can to be the loudest autism advocate I can be. Which is cool because it comes in the realm of going and speaking at conventions. I've got making workbooks because I learned a lot of my clients wanted to do extra work because tism brains, sometimes you need to see it and sit with it and work at it versus just hear it. And just it takes longer time for our brains to process things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got workbooks and I've got a book coming out this year.
Yeah. So tell us about the book. What's it about? I know we were talking about the last time and leading up to this that you were going to come back and tell me all about it. So tell me about the book, though. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I went through over 400 research journals with what autism looks like with women. And because it's just not as documented as it has been for men or male or, people who were male presenting. I mean, so I was able to just create this amazing conglomerate of information that's just kind of like ADHD'd out of me into, oh, look at this, what it looks like for puberty. Oh, look, this is menopause. Oh, look, this, or doing things online. And, we can't always trust meeting people online, even though we cannot read intentions. A lot of times we just tend to look for the good in things. And that's where a lot of victimization can happen online.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just,
Online is a very scary place. Yes. Yes, it
it
is.
can be, but I learned so many people can go online to share their stories and having spaces like this where you get to hear other people share what they've been through.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, ever since the last time we saw each other, we've had a lot of interesting conversations come through this studio. In fact, the season that we're currently recording for, the first episode is going to be one of the wildest stories that a lot of people have heard. So next Monday, we actually have somebody else coming back with another story too, as well. But this season's been pretty interesting already. Like we're only a few episodes in, and the first person that I got was actually from TikTok. I met her through my TikTok agency I'm a part of, and she told probably the wildest story to date. She's brought the number 2 spot now, just like the wildest things that have ever been
Woo!
said in this studio. Since the last seen you, we've had an actual senior editor of CNN come on, and we were hanging out with him for a little bit. His episode actually dropped today while we're recording now. His episode came out this morning. He was great too. We've had the 4-time returning guest. That's Melissa Kim Porter's been back already as well. So this is fun when I get people that come back that I haven't seen you in a while. And I've been watching a lot of your TikToks and stuff like that too. So it's always great when I see him and all that kind of stuff. And I know you mentioned the book, and I was like, oh yeah, we got to talk about the book and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I've been busy, working hard on it. I took a little time off to myself that I pre-recorded the seasons and things like that too. So I've had a little bit of time myself. I met a girl. She is actually BPD, so it's been kind of interesting because I've had to learn a whole new thing with her, and the things that come with all that. So it's been interesting on top of all the other things in my life that are
Mhm.
going on crazy. I keep myself things interesting.
I mean, you really do, but that's, I think, it's giving spaces for people to be heard and be seen. And I think that is just the coolest. I am the one sitting virtually the seat where people talk to me about their stuff. So you were, I think the second podcast I ever did. And so I had no idea what talking about myself would look like. And it's very different speaking about yourself and your stories versus sitting and listening to other people's stories. And other people are fascinating and they're wild and crazy and glorious and ugly and beautiful. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
learning how
Yeah,
to
there's a lot
share.
of interesting things
Oh.
that happen. Trust me.
Well,
No, I
it's
agree.
taking the stories and hearing them, and it's like, what do I do with this amazingness? How do I get this out into the world? And I see that when I learn about anything autism related. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I tell more people? How do I make this to where other people can hear it and know that they're not alone, that they are
Hmm.
not, your anxiety is valid, the world is burning currently, so there's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, we were talking about before we hit record that the world is burning, and then everything like that. Then the whole thing with Texas where we're at, it was like everything just started freezing. Everybody started freaking out. I'm like, guys, it's really not that bad. We'll be okay, I promise, But everybody does a mid shift panic and just goes out and buys everything, and it's like, okay, yeah, why not, guys? Yeah, let's go and overreact. Okay, you gotta do that. While I'm just watching y'all freak out. It's great.
Everybody and I saw that coming into like, I went to pick up my random grocery order that I get normally, and I'm like, "All the flour's gone. I guess this is the time people are baking bread." I've never seen that much flour out of the store, but, I mean, apparently cold snaps are when people need to come in and bake bread. This sounds delightful, but, I mean, of all the things to take, like, flour.
It's interesting the things they take, like toilet paper, and they're clearing all these things out. And it's like, somebody's like, why are you buying all the frozen stuff? I'm like, well, think about it. If their power goes out, it's still going to be cold either way. So it won't matter. At that
Yep,
point, you still can't. I mean, you're going to have to go start a fire to cook it, I guess, try not to burn your house down in the process. But,
yep.
you're waiting for that story to come. Well, I started a fire in my garage and decided I was just going to, but you didn't think to ventilate the smoke. Well, I didn't think that far ahead in process.
And I actually heard it put really, really well from a couple of my clients that live up in the north. They're like, for us, we're born in if you're going sledding, watch out for trees. If you're
Hmm.
doing this, like ice, if you're going on ice, it needs to be this thick. If you need to do this or this or this. And Texans don't have that. We don't
Oh, I'm from the
have that.
north too.
Like,
So.
you're just,
Originally born in Chicago, okay? So then I'm here in
woo!
Texas now, but yeah, so I'm used to it. And my girlfriend now, she's from Ohio, so she'll be coming to visit me in Texas in April. So she's like, "Is it warm down there?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it gets
Yeah.
warm."
The 90s, I think. Just depending on,
Wait till you hit that 100 degrees. It gets
woo!
hot. I think
Was it
we
in
got a new
August?
meaning of warm here, girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
As
yeah,
a therapist, I've just been it's hard being a therapist and going through the same experiences that your clients are going through. 'Cause
yeah.
how it's hard to find the ability to give them hope. Everything seems to be a struggle.
Yeah, virgins, as well.
Mhm.
That's a whole nother added layer of things too. We met earlier yesterday. Actually, we met. What is it? He's a hypnotist. He's actually autistic as well. A young guy I met the other day. He's like 23 or something. He's doing really great things. Which is great because I love when I meet people that are autistic and things like that. Because it just shows that just because you're different doesn't mean you can't do something and make a
Yeah.
difference in the world. You know what I mean? And things like. And I use your term all the time, neurospicy. Now, remember that when we first met that was the thing you told constantly teaching me things, and I'm watching these different videos. And ever since the last time we saw each other too, I've had two of my top 5 guests on the show. One was being Dr. Jen Bellinger. She's actually an expert at BPD. And I had another guy, he runs a podcast called Come On Man. It's a men's coach. He came on as well. He waited 3 months to talk to me. I was laughing hysterically. He told me the story. He's like, yeah, I waited 3 months to come on your show. He's like, I was going to cancel the service we were using originally, but he's like, I knew I already committed to you. So I just kind of waited for you. I just hung out for 3 months. I was like, well, that's awesome. I mean, hell yeah, that's cool.
That's with BPD, a lot of as I've become more and more, just working within the autism world because just slowly, like, my niche turned into that. I'm finding a lot of adult women were originally diagnosed with BPD
Hmm.
when they are actually neurodivergent.
Yeah.
But because anxiety comes, like the ADHD, the ADHD or autism, it's like you have to mask who you are that when you get home you just fall apart and it just looks very different. And so there was for a
Yeah.
long time a missed generation of women who got diagnosed with anxiety, depression, BPD, when neurodivergence was just right there, just knocking on the door saying, "Hello, I'm here. Please pay attention to me."
Yeah. But why do you feel like that is? Why do you feel like more women are being ignored that are autistic at this point versus men? Is it because men are the most dominant of, like I guess population wise, there's more men than women. Do you think maybe that's why they were so pushed to the back scene about it? Because there are two sexes, like we know there's men and women, and they both present things differently. Are we mistaking something here?
I love that question because I want to answer it in so many different ways. Autism really started taking off, like, it was probably the 1950s, and it was a
Yeah.
lot of early childhood schizophrenia at first, and then it was blamed on the moms for being really cold and refrigerator moms, and then it was the criteria for the diagnosis was very loud, and so if you didn't hit this specific criteria, then you didn't have it, and so
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when I think of, like, getting diagnosed with ADHD in the '80s and '90s. Like, you were the kiddo who's bouncing off the wall, who's being forced to sit in the hallway, who will chatter, 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 chatter,
Yeah.
doing all of the things that we do traditionally think of with ADHD. Women, females with autism, like, we're taught to mask very early on and, like, well, you can't get in trouble. You can't do this. You can't do this. This is like, if you are weird, you're going to get ostracized. So you got to hide your quirks. You got to hide this, and just different components. And you need to assimilate into the groups because it's very much an in group, out group kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
women or people who were more feminine presenting typically got skipped over because it's like, oh, well, you're a daydreamer, but you get really good grades, so it's fine. Like, they're not asking, where is my struggle understanding the social norms?
Yeah.
Where is my, when I was a kid, I would do my homework, I would do everything, but I wouldn't turn it in. To this day, I cannot tell you why I didn't do it because I would complete all the work, but turning it in was an extra level of task that I could not seem to do. And
No,
so,
I agree. It's like it's funny you say that though, because that happened with one of my kids. They were doing the same thing. They were like, they do it, but they wouldn't turn it in. I'm like, well, you did all the work. Why not put it in and get the credit for the work? Well, I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm like, well, that makes no sense. Like, what?
It's
I
so
mean,
wild.
it is. It's just really weird because it's like you did all the work, you did the work, so why not turn it in and get the credit for the work? It's like, or a lot of the kids are, oh, well, they're bored. Well, maybe because we don't challenge them enough. I mean, like nowadays we don't even teach half these kids basic economics, and it's crazy to me. Like why we don't teach them that? It's like why not give them the life skills they need to get through life? I mean, like we're not even teaching them that
Oh, I
anymore. We're
totally
having them.
agree.
It's
And do
crazy.
you know there's teachers that are coming out and they're saying it beautifully with the teaching because everything is at our fingertips these days. We can get
Hmm.
that just and scrolling and looking and just doing and going and absorbing that our brains, we have a harder time sitting and engaging. So teachers are having a harder time teaching and keeping the kids engaged. It's like they have to take it a step up and above just to get that information across that they would not necessarily have had to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, of course, schools and thankfully, schools are coming back with "Oh, look, money management is a very important thing," and kids are missing
Yeah.
it. So, we're adding these classes back in, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And there's
Yeah, about time though. I mean, I think we're failing them by not teaching them basic skills like that too. And and it to me it doesn't make any sense. It's like why not teach them the things we need them to do so to be productive members of society? At least teach them money. Because
Mhm.
like money's around everything. Like everything involves money. Why not teach them how to handle their money the right way? And why keep putting these kids in debt? Like that's the only biggest problem with college too. Is like you're putting these kids into more debt before they're ready to even take on the world. Like let's let them
Very true.
succeed and then worry about everything else. But it's like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Have noticed, at least from in my line of work, that there's a lot of shame, at
Hmm.
least with parents, around things that they don't know. And so if they were not raised with financial literacy, there's a lot of shame in not understanding it. And so they just kind of avoid. As a society, things I've noticed that we tend to, avoid or procrastinate on the things that we are not the most proud of or that we don't know what to do. And so if we're not teaching it at home from a young age, then they're not necessarily getting the initial grasp of it. And then coming into schools, if schools aren't putting in, or if they're coming in with like, oh, we're learning budgeting, we're learning economics, and because I remember I had to learn economics in high school and I didn't understand any of it. Because that I didn't get that learning at home. And
Yeah.
so I stepped into almost like an intermediate class when I had no idea what was going on. And then I just kind of fudged it. And that was before Chat GPT was a thing.
Yeah. God, don't even get me started on ChatGPT. God, that whole trend of ChatGPT's my therapist. God, please stop with that crap. Like, I'm so glad they finally, hopefully, went past that phase where they stopped using AI to be their, end all be all. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like, I can be searched on ChatGPT now. That was pretty funny too, by the way. That was pretty cool. But it's like you don't see me using it as my therapist because they don't understand the human emotion of things that are going on.
Mhm.
And it's just like you can't be different in this world because if you put that out on the internet, people get mad at you about that or they make fun of you because they don't understand what that is.
What I liked with AI in the beginning before it really started getting weird is that you could ask questions like, if in between the times that my client's seeing me, if they're like, what are some exercises I could be doing for grounding? And it would populate all right there. Like they use it as an assistant to therapy, not necessarily therapy in itself. But I've also had people who didn't feel safe enough coming and talking to like a therapist as they were, but they would start and like a little bit open up to like with ChatGPT or other AIs, and then they moved into talking to a therapist. Like it took away the fear.
Yeah, but that's like I get what they're trying to do, but at the same time, it's like it started turning to a bad way when that unfortunately that one kid ended up, taking his own life because then it was like, well, this is how you do it. I'm like, oh no, ChatGPT, please don't do that,
Mhm.
and it was wild because I was interviewing a woman named Dr. Fu Zhang, and her and I were talking about it. She had an app that had an AI feature to it. And she's the one that told me about that whole situation of what happened to that one kid. And I was like, "Oh, no. No, no. This is why we are not allowed to be on the internet, kids, because we don't know how to play nice." It's just like, "God, stop." Because it's
It's
like you can't put
yeah.
anything out there because it's just, it's like going to WebMD and what is it, Wikipedia and taking that shit as it's real. It's like, it's not. Wikipedia is all just, it's just information people gave you. Come on, stop.
Well, and we're in the same spot that my parents were in the late 80s to early 90s, like when we had a computer in the home, when we first got
Hmm.
internet. I vividly remember being in elementary school and at home I researched hypnotism and I printed it off and I was trying to hypnotize other students on the playground, and it was I got sent to the principal. I got written up because there was a lot of fear with the unknown. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing with AI right now. There's a lot of fear in the unknown because we don't know all that it's capable of. And so we don't know what conversations to have with our kids.
Yeah, and that's scary though. You don't even know how to talk to your own kids these days. It's like because with the internet, it's like everything's changing at a rapid pace and they're getting all the information and they're getting the wrong information from the wrong people and the things they're seeing on the internet. It's just I don't like the internet for some reason for a few reasons. I feel like some of these videos of like suicide and oh, after you
Yeah.
take your life, those videos that like never start out well. Like
Nope.
that's my recent thing that irritates me the most. And I was talking to somebody else about that. I was just like, this is disgusting that people are posting this because I'm like, I don't think you realize what you're telling people when you're basically essentially telling them their life doesn't matter anymore. Oh no, we're
Yeah.
not saying that. Really? Then tell me what that video says to you. Okay, well think about that somebody from the point of view that's thinking about taking their life. They're thinking, okay, well, nobody cares about me, anything else. This video right here that you're posting is telling them, okay, well, you're right. All your thoughts are real. You don't feel like you're worthless. You feel like you're worthless. Okay, well, guess what? Life goes on because you're not here anymore. And I'm like, that's a problem. You can't post that crap and not expect somebody to react to it in some way negatively. And it's like, I get what you all are trying to do, but trying to scare people just isn't the way to do it, though. You're not going to scare them.
I'm really, really grateful that I have not found myself in those rabbit holes in the internet, because if you look for them, they're there. And my algorithm is mainly filled with cats and crocheting. So we've got that going for us.
Listen,
With
we won't talk about my Instagram. It's a scary place to go on.
woo! That's Instagram.
They told me that my Instagram, from a few people's point of view, said that my Instagram needs therapy. And I said, oh, I don't think that's even going to help it.
That
Just
is
because of
so
weird
funny.
things people send, because I'm learning how the algorithm works myself for me, my searchability and like the keywords and things like that too, that I have to put in these things for people to find me and all
Mhm.
these different things I've learned, as I'm going. I'm still learning a lot of different things. I'm learning new things as I go. And all the different people I invite on the show and all the different things I have all these interesting people come and teach me so many new things. So, it gets interesting every single time though, but like I get so many weird videos sent to me that like eventually my algorithm takes off and starts running and I'm like the first video of the day is like, yep, I'm done with the internet today. I'm not coming back here anymore.
Yep. Sometimes we need to just get that detox and like we're gonna put our phone down and we're gonna it's as the youth say, we're gonna go outside and touch grass.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I mean, as a therapist, I am all about like, cool, going outside if you can, behind like the four walls of your home.
Yeah.
And just
No, I don't like touching the grass. I'm sorry. It's a scary place out there. But I'm getting better at it. I just, like getting through where I was because when I recorded with you for the first time, I was dealing with a lot of depression and things I didn't tell people about. And then recently, 4 months ago, I almost committed suicide because my ex basically told me, "Hey, listen, it's not the time to talk about these things. We'll reschedule that." I'm like, "Oh, awesome! I didn't know we could do that." And things like that too. And there's a lot of things that a lot of you guys didn't know the first time around I talked to most of you that I was struggling bad. Like the room I was in when I recorded, I literally didn't leave that room after that recording. I literally sat back, I turned the light back off and right back into the bed, right back into my depression. Now I'm actually in a better place now. I'm no longer in the same situation. I am in the process of getting divorced as well. And things like that too. Like my life's a lot better now. Like where I was from the time I'm here now, my life has changed dramatically. I have a better relationship with my kids. So now I'm actually going to go see my daughter. My oldest one's going to go graduate in May. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that whole scenario. Me and her mom are actually in a talking mode. We're not yelling at each other all the time. And I've had time to sit here and reflect upon where my faults were in all these conversations, and it seems like everything is going in a positive direction than where it was. My depression's at an all-time low. My anxiety's still there. I mean, but I've learned like a new thing. I've learned like energy. I have energy sensitivity, so like I've learned how to hone it a little better now. So like I pick up on situations a lot of times, and my anxiety is usually my trigger that tells me something's not right. Like if I wake up. Like like one day I woke up with the worst case of like I was almost in a mode of a panic attack because I was dead asleep. I woke up, my heart's racing
Mhm.
1,000 miles an hour, and I knew something was wrong. I couldn't tell you what it was, but something was wrong, and I knew it was. And then all of a sudden, it was that my ex appeared out of nowhere, and I haven't seen her in months. And then she wanted to talk to me, and then she wanted to blame me because I wasn't there because one of the dogs passed away, and I said, my only statement to her was is that, well, if I couldn't be there for myself, how could I be there for you? Like, you're asking me to do something I impossibly couldn't do for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't be there for you. Like, you want me to do something I couldn't do for you, even if you asked me to. Like, if you asked me to be there, I wouldn't have been any good to the situation. You wouldn't have liked any response I gave you. And I've learned these things as I'm doing the show because it's great. Because like every day it's a therapy. Every interview is almost like a therapy session because you're talking about these things with different people.
Yeah.
So I'm learning all new things as we go. I'm learning different grounding techniques. Breath work was another one I picked up recently for me as well. I've used that as well. And, things like that too. I do a lot of journaling now. I try to keep myself busy. I've been digging into human design a little bit too. I don't know if you ever went in that area. It's a very
No,
interesting
no,
place to
not.
be. I did an astrological star chart reading too on the show. We did a live one when I was still doing the live episodes. I had done one of those too, and I looked in all that kind of stuff. So that was interesting to see. I learned more about myself and things I learned I didn't realize that all kind of played out. That were all there basically in sight, and I just didn't know it because I've never had it done before.
What I really like in here, what you said, you're starting to trust your intuition. You're starting to trust your gut, and I think a lot of times anxiety comes because we push that down.
Hmm.
Or we're not mindful of it, of like, "Hey, look, I've got some impeding doom and gloom feeling coming in, what is this?" I will say with anxiety, sometimes anxiety has no rational reason for being
Hmm.
around it. I think it's like the world's worst intern that's in your brain for trying to keep you
Yes.
alive, and
Yes.
they're like, "Let's try to keep you alive. How about a panic attack? That's a great idea." And
Or
then it's
your
like,
or your constant state of paranoia, you're like looking around the room constantly. Like every so often, I'm kind of looking around, like looking at stuff, and people are like, "What are you looking at? Nothing." And you don't want to tell people what you're doing because half these people couldn't understand the conversation you wanted to, and that was the problem at first. I was just like you though, like you said, when you did my show, I was the second show you ever done, and like I did guest spots after that, and I didn't really talk much about myself until the beginning of the year when I started to finally. I just woke up one day and just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna start being honest about what's really going on in my head." And as I'm doing these different shows, I'm going on, and it's getting easier as they're going. You know, I did like 4 of them last week alone from the time of this recording. I did 4 different interviews, other podcasters. I was the first guest on a lot of shows.
that is
It's been
so cool.
interesting. So it's very interesting though because I'm usually someone's first guest, and it's funny because I've met a couple people. There's another girl I'm definitely going to send you over to meet too as well. I just met her recently. I was on her show too. I was her first guest. But it became easier to talk about it though, because I was finally being
Yes.
honest with myself of what's going on. And a lot of people didn't realize it though. And then when the first time it came out about my last attempt, I was in the middle of a friend's show. I just said, fuck it. I just said, fuck it. Literally on the recording, I go, fuck it. I'm like, I'm just going to tell you exactly what's going on. Here we go. And I just went and these 4 girls were just sitting there like, wow, all right.
You know
So they,
what? But you'd gotten to that point where you're like, "This is not gonna sit inside and have power over me anymore,"
yeah.
and I think that's powerful. It's as you were coming in talking about, it was hard to say these things because there's still that guilt, that shame that,
Hmm.
"I don't need to talk about this. Is not a polite society thing to talk about." Yeah, well, pooping isn't polite to talk about, and I talk about that daily.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it's you take away the power that is depression. You take away the power that is anxiety. You take away just all of the, having suicidal ideation. We can normalize it, but not say that it's okay to continue moving forward with
Yeah.
those thoughts.
It's having those rough conversations with people, and it's interesting to see people's responses when you tell them things because it's always afterwards they always act weird about things, and it's like, why do you have to make it weird, dude? It's like I know what happened. I don't need you to sit there and guilt me about it. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
addiction. You think about it, why sit there and guilt somebody who has a slip up when they're trying to get through the process of the whole situation? It's like it's gonna happen. All these guys in the recovery already know this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna make a mistake. It's gonna happen. Well, what happens? You get up and just continue going. You don't sit there and shame them about it. It just makes sense. To me, it makes no
I
sense.
I have started channeling Jeff Goldblum in my thinking because he
Yes.
comes in with such childlike wonder and whimsy and amazingness. And so, like, if you mess up, you channel Jeff Goldblum, you're like, wow, that was a really interesting mistake that I made. I wonder why I did that. That's fascinating. And you just come in and you take away the shame of I am wrong. And it's
Yeah.
just like, that's a really interesting lesson. What did I learn from this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've told people the same thing. Gave somebody advice like that too. I said, listen, whatever you do, if she fucks up, don't sit there and give her a hard time about it. And what did he do? He did the one thing I didn't ask him to, and I better believe when I saw him, I jumped on him. I said, bro, what is the one thing I told you not to do? I just kept repeating to him like a little kid. What did I tell you not to do? Huh? What did I not do? Like his mother. I came over looking at him like his mom. Listen, what did I tell you not to do? God damn it. What is the one thing I asked you not to do? And he
Yep.
goes, not give her a hard time. And that's what you did, right? Exactly. So what are you going to do? We're not going to do exactly. Because the next time, like you always wanted to give him a tap. You're like, you better not do it the next time. I'm not going to tell you again,
Right.
And it was like, it's so fascinating though. But people come to me too, though. Like ever since I did the show, like this year alone, I've been getting a lot of emails from people too. Hey, Pete, I listened to your episode with so and so, and things like that. And it's interesting the level of people I'm getting too. Like I have an ex-Olympic bobsledder. I'm trying to I had to reschedule with him because I was sick during the time when I wanted to record with them. But I have people like that reaching me. I have an ex-National Geographic photographer. It's using
Nice.
photography for ADHD and things like that too. And he used to do the government picture, did like White House pictures and things like that too, reaching out. Like I said, the guy from the CNN, I had him come on too. He was great too. He actually worked with Wolf Blitzer for like 9 years, and he's got 25 years of journalism, telling me that me, somebody that's just an average person, and he likes the way I interview. He's like, I love the way you interview with people. It's very interesting. He said, and this is coming from a guy who's got way more experience than I do, and I almost fell on the floor over there. I was like, yeah, you might have to come resuscitate me, is what I was texting one of my friends.
That is
I was
just
telling her, listen, you may have to come get me off the floor over here. I may need it. She said, what happened? Well, a guy from CNN just told me that he likes the way I interview things, and he's got like 25 plus years of journalism, plus he's worked under Wolf Blitzer for the longest time. I was like, yeah,
that's
but
it
it's
makes
it's
me
been fun.
like, had you not opened up and shared with your depression, with life, like, the suicide attempt, like, who knows what your life would have looked like? But for you coming in, it's like, the fact that you held on and kept moving forward, like, you got to experience some things you would not have possibly experienced in those moments when your brain thought, like, "What's the point?" And that's what I hate about depression. It's not like I'm sad, I'm perpetually sad.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
that
get it.
lack of emotion.
Yeah, it's and then you meet people that don't have any clue what they're talking about. They're like always like cheer up. I'm like, that's great because that's really not what's going on in this moment. But okay, hey, cool.
Right.
It's
Right.
like you meet those people who've never been through these kind of things, and it's for you to try and explain to them. It's like, okay, listen here, let me get you a crayon and some paper. I need you to start drawing what I'm about to tell you.
Yep.
It's just like it's just so funny though. It cracks me up every time.
It's meeting people who, if they haven't gone through it, but they're willing to sit and listen, it makes it worth it because then you can talk. And I've learned this in talking about autism because most people look at me and they don't say, "Oh, you're definitely autistic," because I don't hit the criteria. And they're like, no. And I'm like, would you like to see my paper with the diagnosis? It's here. You want to talk about trains? It's having people who are willing to lean in with curiosity versus judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm getting a lot of that lately too with people that are listening to the show. They're like, well, this is so fascinating. And like one girl that's on going to be on tomorrow, she and I were talking, she's on TikTok and I'm like, she's like, oh yeah. She always, whenever I see her all the time, she's always excited because she's been listening to the show. She's like, I've been listening to it. And it's always exciting to hear when people get other people's perspectives on what you've been doing, and listening to what you're doing. all that stuff. It's interesting to hear people say they're like, "Oh man, I didn't know all these things." I'm like, you talk to so many interesting people. I'm like, yeah, I had a global bestseller on the show as well. I've had a couple, few multiple international bestsellers and things like that too. So yeah, the opportunities that have come doing this is great. But at the same time, that I'm finding a lot of people are more open to the conversation because it's not being forced on them.
Yeah.
It's just like that. We're just having a conversation. So I invited the other woman to come on the show tomorrow. She has no idea why she's even coming. But, how I always close the show on is always says, one kind act. It's like, the positivity she irradiates. Every time you go in there and see her, she's always so very excited to see you, always really positive and things like that. I just, she doesn't realize like what effect she's having on people. Like people
It's
can have the
incredible.
worst day possible, and then she's like, well, I don't know anything about mental health, but you don't realize what you're doing is you're creating a atmosphere for people that may be having the worst day possible, may even be thinking
Yeah.
about this, and you could be the one thing that turns them around because your positivity.
It's the ripples that we put out into the world,
Mhm.
and I love coming into life with more of that, an empowering
Mhm.
way of living. I really focus on positive psychology is one of my jams. I will just live in that let's look at our strengths because we're so often taught to look at why we suck. And so,
Yeah.
well, let's figure out what's a win? Is our win we got out of bed and put on pants? Is a win that we brushed our teeth and didn't struggle with it this time? That we made an A in class? It could be as little or as big that we didn't get abducted by aliens. Like it's a win.
Yeah, that too.
Or we could
Aliens.
have been abducted by aliens and consider that a win.
That's true too, I mean, the aliens are interesting people, I've heard a lot of weird things about that. I've had some interesting moments though, like I had like a spiritual moment where I couldn't even tell you what the hell even happened. It was the weirdest thing. It's like you're sitting there talking to her and she's telling me something and she's like, "Hey, I want to read something to you." And all of a sudden nothing around me matters. And it's just like I completely just zone out for 5 seconds. And then I come back and the response I have, she knew exactly what was going on. And it's been really weird since, doing the show and things like that, like I said. And then the shock level value just doesn't bother. Like the things people tell me now don't even shock me anymore. It's like, holy crap, dude. I will say though, like I said, this season's opener for this season that we're on now, holy crap, dude. I did not expect what she said. She came in there, was like, oh yeah, telling us these stories, things. And then when she leads up to the one moment where I'm just like, holy shit, she comes to me after, like a few days after, goes, "Hey, you're kind of speechless there for a minute. You okay?" I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. What you told me, I'm still trying to process right now because I'm like, I can't believe the sequence of events of what just happened. It's like, you think about it, you see it happen, and then when you're literally talking to somebody that's literally telling you what's unfolding before you, and then you make the statement, and it's just like, wait a minute, what? It
That is
just
it's
doesn't
so
get any more. I was rendered speechless for once, and you know me, I'm not a very very lost for words kind of person.
you're
Like
not
I was literally like,
yeah,
my jaw
that
could have hit the floor. It would have hit the floor like the mask, man. It just went a dunk right on the ground because I was like, wait, what did she just say?
well, and see the fact that you lean in with curiosity, you, come in and you were like, everybody has a story and everybody's allowed to be heard, and because you open that safe space for people to come in and just be, that they can be their weird selves, they can be their best selves, their worst selves, they can share stories, they're making their mark in the world, which is creating ripples that helps so many other people.
Yeah. No, I
And it's
agree.
finding the space to collect and gather.
Yeah, I'm always curious too. Everything new I find, I go and look down the rabbit holes to see what there is, and I'm always looking for new things. Like I said, with the whole BPD thing, that's been my new obsession now because, like I said, with her, I've having to learn a lot of things for Danny, and she teaches me a lot of stuff, and at the same time, I'm learning as much as I can. And I told her, listen, I said, I got an expert on the list here. I can go text. I'll message her right now. In fact, I'm gonna email her. So I'm emailing her. I'm on the phone. I'm emailing her right now to ask her what I can do. She actually had a community she says I can sign up to that I can better be a part of, that I can help her, be
Yeah.
better supportive to her and things like that too. So it's like, and she's just like, I think she's taken back by the fact, the level the fact that I'm willing to go this far. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, like if it's better for you, because you don't see things from the same way everybody does, So sometimes I do have to be reminded, but I'm still learning things, And then me and somebody else were talking about this before. Sometimes I tend to cut her off, but because I have, what is that, the middle child syndrome? Me and this guy, Uncle Jimmy, that runs the Uncle Jimmy podcast, me and we're talking about that, how we do that to sometimes to people. I'm like, yeah, sometimes I get the edge words in because I felt like as a kid I never got heard, and things like that too. So, I'm learning all new fascinating things about myself as we go through this whole thing. And it's my show's still booking, man. I swear, dude, I am still going. I'm almost into May almost now.
You what?
hmm I'm
Wow.
almost into May right now. People booking. I know. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just
And that's
your
my new schedule now is and the new schedule, by the way, now is 3 to 4 people on Mondays and Tuesdays. So that's Mondays and Tuesdays, 3 to 4 people, sometimes maybe more because 'cause I'm overachiever. I like to add more people. So I am always constantly looking for new stories. So,
so
yeah.
then throwing this back as you, as my therapist brain wants to do, what do you do that fills your cup aside work aside, interesting stories aside?
You know what? Honestly, what I do outside of this, I kind of, I'm like, I've been doing a lot of time, spending a lot of time in TikTok, figuring out how the mechanics of that work. I've been meeting a lot of new people, actually, honestly. Like, I joined, like I said, I joined a TikTok agency. It's been great. It was actually it's run by a friend of mine. He was actually a guest on the show, too. He was actually episode, I think 44. He was the guy that hosted the Unboxed Thoughts. Nick was actually on the show. He came on, and Nick and I have known each other for a while now. And I met him. We met about again back again in December, and he was mentioning, "Oh yeah, I started my own TikTok family. You should come join us." And I'm like, "Okay, let me think about it. I'll get back to you." So I ended up joining with him. So I'm actually with them now. So it's actually been a great time. I met a lot of really cool people in the process. There's one guy that actually he said because of me and Nick, he's actually going to get into counseling himself and things like that. So he's going to go do the school to do all that kind of stuff. And, it's been really great. I've been pushing for things for these guys, offering space for them if they want to come talk to me, if they need to, and then when I'm not doing that, I'm usually just kind of doing whatever, journaling, I'm writing stuff. I'm working constantly on other things, just trying to keep myself busy because I'm a man generator. So I have a lot of projects. I have a side project I've been working on. It's called Voice of the Voiceless. It's an audio project I'm doing with a co host. So that starts airing this Saturday. So we have a lot of that stuff, So by the time we're recording, we're in February, so February 7th is when it comes out this Saturday, the week that we're recording on now, but this won't be out till March. But, I've been working on that too and trying to keep busy. And then I've got a lot of other people want me to do a bunch of other projects with them. I'm like, well, let me figure out my chaos right now, and then we'll
Yeah.
figure it out from there. I've been doing a lot of guest spots on other shows. There's a couple of young gentlemen I met. They run a podcast called The Life Podcast. It's these two young guys that are 25 and 21 friends in high school. They're both football players and things like that. So it's interesting to hear their point of view of things. So I'm counting down to episode 20 for them. So when episode 20 is, I'm coming back to talk to them as well. I think I was their only guest so far on the show. They've invited me to come back at episode 20. So we're counting down to that.
Right.
Outside of that, I just kind of do whatever, just kind of hang out, work on my relationship with the kids. I've been going to the gym more often now, getting myself in better shape and things like that. I'm under 300 pounds for the first time in like God knows how long. My clothes don't even fit. It's scary now. I literally have to wear a belt to keep my pants up these days. It's wild. And it's just like, I'm making so many positive changes and things like that too. And, like I said, Danny and I are now talking about meeting up for the first time in April and,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So everything's going my way. And it's like, and I'm just kind of enjoying life right now. I'm kind of just enjoying life as it is. I'm just kind of sitting back and just taking in everything and doing a lot of self reflecting, accepting fault for where I'm at, and all these kind of things. I still do therapy every other week now with my therapist. She's actually a 6-time international bestseller. I met her through the show. So she and we get together and I have her on my emergency contact list in case I get to that point I need it. But, it's been nice. So I try to stay busy because if not, if I stop for a minute, it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. I think I may go crazy if I don't do something every day.
That is where I'm like, "Oh, you were saying all the things and jumping all around it,
I
and
am
it's
I
the
am prioritizing my sleep too, by the way. I know that was one where Dr. Leah and I talked about. She gave me hell about that. She was like, "Are you sleeping?" I said, "Dr.
mhm,
Leah, honestly, probably not a lot." She goes, "Well, do we need to talk about this right now?" Okay, we're going to talk about this right now. So she gave me a lecture during her interview about how I need to sleep more.
that's you are about to get one for running as much as you are because
I
it's
do
it
take
was
time to myself though. I mean, outside of the show, when I'm not doing it, most times I do set aside time for myself. I'll just sit there and do nothing, which is fine. I'm I don't editing process now is pretty easy. I pretty much keep it as raw as possible as it's always been because that seems to be the appeal people like a lot about the show. But I do the other podcasting spots. I love doing them because I don't have to do the work afterwards. I sit there and talk to other
yes.
people. I love being people's first guests. So there's been about like 5 or 6 people's first episode I've been on. They're all been excited to host me and things like that too. I have my first fan that I'm supposed to meet with. I had to reschedule with her. But yeah, I had somebody that's a fan of the show says she's been following it since day one. And when she first saw it, and then she was actually scared to talk to me. I was like, that's funny because I'm a
Gosh!
normal person. What do you mean?
Isn't that do you ever have the imposter syndrome come in? I found
hmm
with as many degrees as I have and the things that I've done, I still have imposter syndrome some
I
days.
you know what? I did suffer on that early on in the beginning of the first season. right
Mhm.
at the New Year's where I started having a lot because I didn't realize how successful I was because if in November of the year prior when the first year of this show was, within the first year, I was already out to July of 2025 at that time, and I started in 2024 when I did it, so I was already so far out with people that wanna be on the show and things like that too, and it was like, it's crazy to see where my schedules I told people because I was telling people my recording it was like every day of the week. I had like 2
Yeah.
things, but now I went to bulk recording instead, and now I do some other ones outside of that, maybe 1 or 2 here or there, but it's like, 1 or 2, but I do prioritize my sleep though now. It's like I'm trying to sleep more than anything else, and then I'll worry about everything else. So, like, I'm starting to learn how to slow down a little bit because if not, I'm going to wear myself out eventually till when I go
Yep.
crazy. So, like I said, I've been prioritizing that. I've been getting a lot more sleep. I've been taking better care of myself. My diet's still like a kid, but it's okay. Uncrustables and Monster are pretty much my go-to at this point.
I had the Crustable for lunch today.
They're the greatest
Oh,
thing ever, are they not? I'm telling you. Listen, I had my friend from Australia. It's funny. She runs a podcast too. She texted me one day and said, "Put down the Monsters and stop drinking them. You need to go to sleep." And I
that's
was like,
amazing.
I'm looking around the room like, "Where the hell are you at, man? Are you on this camera watching me or something?" She's like,
Right? How do you know? And she's like,
she
"I just
said
know you."
her answer was her Oracle card. She had drawn one that said that's what she needed to tell me. I was like, huh? And that was the so fascinating thing about those is the Oracle cards because she used to give me Oracle readings and things like that too. She invited me to come do something else. I can't remember what it is too. I still have to do a chakra reading, so I still got to schedule a lot of things. I'm
Okay.
behind. So I'm a little behind, but I've been meeting new people. There was a woman I met the other day. She actually wrote a book, No More Monsters Under the Bed. Apparently my mom even knew who this book was. I had no idea this woman was until I met her, but Shannon Curtis is her name. She was really cool. Like within the first 5 minutes, she's like, "Hey, listen, so I need your address so I can send you a copy of this book." I'm like, "Okay, sure, why not?"
That is awesome. Oh my
So
gosh.
speaking of your book, you never tell us what the title is and when we're expecting this thing to come out.
It's coming out in 2026. I don't have a title for it yet. Originally, it was this like long, drawn out title that sucked. And so I'm working with the editing team to find something that's much catchier because, yeah, I don't want it to suck.
What's the book about though?
Being a female or female presenting and neurodivergent, like just it comes in so flippin' empowering and weird and awesome and awkward and like we have all of these things and this is how it can show up. This is how it can look. Like this is things that worked for you when you were in school may not work for you when you hit menopause and all of your coping skills change. And
Yeah.
then the world gets hot and we get angry
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm
just
already expecting a copy signed by you, of course, because I want to add to my collection of other books I do
yeah,
have here. I actually have it. They're all right in there on it, by the way, too. That's where all my books are. That's my bookshelf currently right now. So I'm in
that is
transition, but yeah, I have like a lot of really cool items I got from people, and things like that too. So we are at the part of the show though. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the new era episodes to see there is some new things I start asking people. So I got one for you right away. This is a really great one. Okay, so this one I got from a friend of mine I met. She runs a podcast called The Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Okay, so when we met.
I was on that last week.
Okay, so Gretchen, you met her, right? Okay, so
Yes.
listen.
Yep.
So her question to me was, what? And my question to you is, Dr. Kristen, if you could say if your mental health was a song, what would you say that song would be?
And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told them. Overwhelmed. The I get overwhelmed so easily.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know you got to be on there though. I meant to sign up for him. I have to. She was awesome. I love Gretchen. She's great.
It was a hot mess. There was a lot of flipping each other off, which is even better because it's audio and no one knows what we're doing. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was
You know
chaos,
what?
which
It's
is
it's funny you say that because looking through the glass as a duo of friends of mine, apparently the daughter had got mad and made a comment to me because when we first met, I had made fun of her because she couldn't remember her email. I said, "So how are you gonna plug your podcast off the email?" I said, "So Giselle, what's your email?" And she goes, "Oh, hold on, I gotta figure out what it is." I was laughing hysterically. I'm like, "How are you gonna mess up the most important part of this show where you sit there and plug your
yeah,
podcast to people?" And she's like, "Whatever, Pete. I don't have time for that." So Giselle apparently and her mom had messaged me and said, "Hey, listen, Giselle." She's like, "I don't know if you've been listening to the show." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been listening here and there. I've been catching up." She goes, "Yeah, Giselle, she got a blunder moment where she was like, I remembered our email and she made a jab at you in the conversation, but then she had made this like obscene gesture to me in the middle of the conversation or whatever. And she not realizing it's only audio they're recording, not video. And I was dying hysterically. I'm like,
That's
"Oh,"
amazing.
so I messaged Giselle and I go, "Hey, listen, so I heard that, you left me a special on Messenger." And she's like she started laughing because she knew exactly what I was referring to. And I was like, "Listen,
Perfect.
when you record audio, there's no video, right?" And she's like, "Whatever, Pete. It's called autocorrect or something or copy or something." She got so mad at me because I asked her that question about that. She's like, "Whatever. I don't got time for you." And then Melissa, this was funny too, because when Giselle was out having the baby, I had crossed paths with her because I was trying to help the mom out with recording the show. So I was stepping in to help out as the co-host. I
Mhm.
passed by Melissa, so Melissa called me a bitch right in the middle of the episode. Said, "Hey Pete, fuck you," or something like that, bitch, or something. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." So I messaged her 10 minutes after I finished the other interview. I said, "Did you call me a bitch, or did you tell
That's
me
so
fuck?"
it's like, "She looks fired."
I said, Did you say fuck you to me too?" She goes, "Yeah, I hope you heard what I said too." She started laughing hysterically at me. I'm like, "You fucking bitch!" It's
So, I just
it's just
podcast community.
it's the most obscure community we're a part of, but it's been so much fun though too. Until I haven't talked. I've talked to her a little bit since her recent thing. Have you heard of her recent event that happened with her son? Unfortunately.
No.
Okay, so yeah, anybody that's listening, our good friend Melissa from Emotionally Unavailable actually lost her son in the beginning of I think it was December almost. Yeah, almost sometime in December. I believe he OD'd. Unfortunately, she found the body in the house. He had OD'd in the house. He was in the room, and she has an episode. I'll have to find it for you. But if you go through, I know it's like she recorded it 9 days after the loss of the son and was talking about him and everything. And I was like, no way, dude. There's no way in hell I could have done that. No way in hell I
Holy
could have even
cow.
begun to record that. Yeah, so you might wanna reach out to her and just let her know,
Yeah.
just sort of, "Hey," I talked to Pete and he told me I'm sure she'd love to hear from you though, but she's had recorded since then. She was recording an episode talking about it, and I was just like, I couldn't listen to it anymore. I got through part of it, and then I got up to the 911 call where she said at 911 put her on a prompt. I was like, I was mad, like, "Girl, you missed it." I was so pissed. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I said, "911 put you on a prompt?" She's like, "Yeah, 911 put me on a prompt or something in the conversation." I'm just like, "The fuck?" I was so mad too because I was listening to the episode because she's like, "I came upstairs, I found him, and he was in the room," and I was like, "Oh my fucking God, no, you didn't." She's like, "Yeah." You can hear her talking, and she's like, it's like she's talking to you about it. She's like talking directly to the other person that she's having the conversation with. And I was like, "Oh, no, no, she didn't." And it's like leading up, and she's like, "Yeah, and I found him there." And she's breaking down, and I'm breaking down listening to this. And she's like, "Yeah, I got to
Wow.
the 911 and she said, I called 911 and they put me on a prompt. And I was so fucking mad. It's like, I paused the thing. I got up and started yelling, "What?" And I was so mad because I'm like, how are you going to put her on a prompt? This poor woman's in a state of crisis and you put her on
Yep.
a fucking prompt for her
Eh
kid. I'm like, what?
Ooh, that
Oh,
makes me mad.
it was bad though.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes me mad.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, it was rough though. Yeah, if anybody hasn't listened to that, it is a very rough listen to. I've listened to the rest of the conversation, but me and a few other people I know her, and I didn't even know anything about it until someone told me. And I can tell you right now, trying to message her was the hardest thing ever. I was like, I didn't know what to fucking say. I was like, I kept deleting my message, and I just said, "Hey, listen, I heard everything's going on. I love you. I'm here if you need something. Let me know." And that's what I said to her because I had to keep deleting it. So I'm like, I was trying to think what to say to her because I'm like, "Oh shit, dude, she's probably getting 20,000 messages at this time."
There's never the
And
right thing to say. Even
yeah, oh
if you
no, I
say, "I
agree.
feel this way," that's there's not, like, the perfect thing to say. There's a lot of imperfect things to say.
Yeah,
But
because we've all known Melissa the way she is. She's just Melissa to us. I loved her. It was great. We had a blast hanging out together.
Mhm.
She actually did a friend of mine's show that the one I did that was her first one on. So I'm gonna have to go back and read the message, see how that went with her. But yeah, it was just like when she had talked about that, I was like, dude, that was so fucking hard to listen to. I was like, I couldn't do it, man. I was so mad. I was like, I got paused it. I got so pissed and I never went back to it yet. And it's like, okay, I got to finish listening to this. She took the time to record this. I'm going to listen to this. And it was hard because you could just hear her breaking down in the conversation, her talking about,
Yeah.
and it was just like, I couldn't done it. Mm-mm.
Mm, that's awful. I will have to reach out to her because dang, like, ugh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
life is
Well,
hard.
it's time to start wrapping up this episode of Pete for Society. Dr. Kristen, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me again. It was so great to catch up with you and, things like that too. But let us know when you know what the title of the book is and everything like that. That way, obviously, we can plug it for you and, stuff like that too.
I will
You know
definitely
me.
do that.
So if
And
anybody
I will
wants
say
to
if anyone
well, go right
you go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go right ahead. No, you go ahead.
And if people are looking for any of the workbooks I have, they're all on Amazon. You look up Dr. Kristen Williamson.
Yeah. There you go. Go
there.
find her workbook, guys. Listen, like I said, I'll keep you
We'll learn
posted on the
to write.
details. So my next question would have been, as we start closing down, is that where do they find you if they want to reach out to you? They say, listen, they're excited. They like the workbook. They want to know more about the book. Are you going to be plugging it on your website? What's the website they're going to go check out you on?
Well, it's a very long name. It's Empowermind Solutions LLC.com, but I'm all over social media, and now I have people that are helping me with social media, so it'll be less overwhelming and I will post more. And so I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok, and just
Yeah,
places.
she's on TikTok. Definitely go check out her TikTok. She's great. She's on there all the time. So
Hopefully more. Thank you so much for giving me the choice, the chance to nerd out about autism and advocacy and just how life is hard, but we keep going.
well, we're inviting you back for the third time when the book comes out. Obviously, we'll come in with the book. We'll talk all about the book. We can talk everything about it. You can highlight everything you want for people. Tell them where everything you want to do about it. We're definitely gonna invite you back for a third time for sure because we love having you here all the time. It's great. I remember the first time we met. That was the one thing I do remember is you were very bubbly. You were all excited. Everybody described you to after this. So just get ready. I said you're gonna love this woman when you meet her.
You've got
She's
a lot of
awesome, and
energy.
everybody said the same thing. They're like, yeah, she's got a lot of energy. I said, yeah, that's the best thing about her. What do you mean, dude? It was great. It was great talking to
And
her.
that's just
You know,
that's where my clients get this in therapy too. So when they come to therapy, they're like, I'm having a bad day. Huh? It's Kristen. I'm like, yes, let's talk about trains.
right? Exactly. And with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. Kristen, thank you so much again for coming and hang out with us. Like I said, we will have you back a third time when the book is out and all the details, all the great stuff like that. Guys, you know where to find me. I'm on X all the way down to Spotify. I'm X all the way down to TikTok. Jesus, I can't even get it together today. I'm on Spotify all the way down to Pandora Radio now. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety signing off saying, hey, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health?